Good morning again, everyone. Pastor Mike here with another update for you, making 3 this week in just a few days. So will probably be another long one. We're going to have to be changing some stuff for tomorrow. I'm sorry. So first of all, what you need to know is we had someone who came to church last week who later tested positive for COVID. As far as we can tell, there needs to be no other contact tracing or any other implications, ramifications for that. So because of that fact, we're going to have to cut things back quite a bit. So I have read through the current CDC guidelines, which I'll link to the description below in this video, as well as the email that you will be getting. I also watched Governor Walz's press conference, and at this point, we're still going above and beyond what we're being asked to do. So because of that, thank you so much for being patient and understanding in the midst of all that. So what we'll be doing tomorrow is we'll be cutting back to just one service this week at 10:30. So there will be no other classes, no small groups, no kids or youth ministry. So we're going to try to limit any potential exposure time that we have in the building. So just so you know, the overseers have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday night, which will allow us to see the final school decision. So the school has proposed going completely online for all the way elementary, middle school, and high school, effective in I think it's Thanksgiving week. But they have not yet finally voted on it. So I'm waiting to see if there's any changes to what they have proposed yet. So the meeting on Tuesday will allow us to see the final form of that and then deal with any implications that might have for us. Just so you know, I and the overseers do not take this decision lightly or carelessly, but at the same time, I want to do whatever we possibly can to continue meeting together, even if it's not how we would like to do it. So because of that, thank you all for being so careful. Thank you for continuing to wear your masks. I get it. They are uncomfortable. I am getting tired of wearing mine as well. Thank you as well for being supportive and encouraging in the midst of everything that's going on here. I was talking to Scott Peterson last night about this, and we were talking through a list of things that we were able to do without any outbreaks because we've been careful. So we've seen a huge surge in small group involvement in the church, which is phenomenal. Last number I heard was something like 85% of people that call South Suburban their church home are involved in a small group. So side note, if you're not involved in a small group, please reach out to us. Pastor Bruce Hibbard, if you email him at outreach@ssefc.org, would love to get you involved and connected to a small group. Another thing we've done, we have a brand new kids wing. It looks awesome. My kids love it. They love going to look at the pictures and imitating some of the animal sounds that are back there. We got to have a huge celebration in memory and honor of Mike Neely's retirement. That was a wonderful time. It was a joy for me to even be here and see how much the church loves their pastor. We got to celebrate my family moving here, which, again, thank you again for all the help that you gave us on our house. We've had a new members class last week, which we had 17 people go through, which was awesome. We have sojourners that has been meeting for a few weeks now. We've had youth that has continued meeting. Kids ministry has been going on Sunday morning. So as non-sinfully as I can possibly be, I'm really thankful and proud of how well we've all been dealing with this. I personally am hoping and praying that this is the only pandemic I'll ever pastor you, but thank you so much for doing the best you possibly can to, as Romans 12:10 says, outdo one another in showing honor. So at this point, what we're still planning to do is have Awana on Wednesday night. That corresponds exactly with what the school district is currently doing, and it allows us to have a bit of a closure for them. Instead of just cutting it off directly, this will allow us, the teachers and the students, to be able to have one last week to meet together before they transition to doing it, I'm guessing, mostly online. Again, more details will come with that. So that will be the last Awana meeting for this year, and then please be praying that we can start that up again in early 2021. As far as we know, at this point, we haven't had anyone with COVID at Awana, which is another thing that we can celebrate and rejoice about. So just so everyone knows as well, we as the overseers are going to be doing the best we possibly can to stay in touch with everyone who's involved at South Suburban. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need anything at all, whether that's a physical need or a spiritual need. COVID fatigue is real. Mask fatigue is real. I get it. I'm getting so tired of all these missing and changing pieces. This is the third video update this week with a third change, with a third tweak. It's nearly impossible to try to keep on top of everything. So while Zoom isn't the same, it's sure better than nothing. Previous pandemics that they've had, they haven't been able to continue meeting with people. They've had to continue just going on and sheltering and dealing with the implications of it. But one thing I want to encourage you all as well is we don't need to live in fear. Yes, be wise. Yes, be careful, but don't be fearful. In 2 Timothy 1:7, we read, God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. That self-control is really important right now as we're dealing with what looks like might be even greater restrictions coming up because the curve and number of cases is spiking dramatically right now. I don't know if you saw this at the beginning of the pandemic. A number of people were posting links to this, but Martin Luther, writing in the 16th century, was once asked in the midst of a pandemic whether or not Christians could flee the city. So they didn't have the same germ theory and understanding of how all these things work. So what people would do is cities were very densely populated areas. And so in order to try to stay healthy, they would flee and go out to the country, which oftentimes helped because there weren't so many people, so it wasn't spreading quite as quickly. So I will link to his response in the description here, but it's really fascinating to read in light of today. So he says that there's two positions you can take. You can flee the city for your health, or you can stay and try to minister and try to serve if they deem it necessary. He even says at one point in this response that it would be wonderful if there were hospitals that could be set up where we could send sick people so that those who are trained could take care of them. But, and I quote, they exist in only a few places. So what a gift that we have today that we can send people to hospitals. That's a wonderful privilege that hasn't existed any previous time in history. So because of that, let's not live in fear, because we know that God can use even a pandemic for our good and his glory. But let's also not be foolish, and let's try to do the best that we possibly can to love and honor our neighbors right now. Lastly, if you've watched many of these videos, you see that I almost always attach my email to the end of pretty much all these videos. And I do that for a reason. If you need anything at all, please email me, mikes@ssefc.org. I love talking to people. I love engaging with people, even if it's over Zoom. And I will make a cup of coffee for myself. I'll ask you to make a cup of coffee for yourself, or if you don't drink coffee, some other warm beverage, so that we can do as much as we can to feel like we're gathering together. So, all that said, this went longer than I was even thinking it would. The summary. One service tomorrow at 10:30 with no other classes, no kids ministry, no small group or youth group. Awana will be meeting one last time on Wednesday and then be looking for another update coming out after the overseers meet on Tuesday. I'm praying for you all. I love you all. Please continue praying for us. I'm looking forward to seeing those of you who are comfortable coming tomorrow at 10:30 here in person. And if you're not feeling comfortable, continue looking online. We've got it on Vimeo, YouTube, and Facebook. Talk to you soon.